And we're live. Hello and welcome to the 11th episode of Game Theory Gang with myself, Matty Allen, your crypto psychologist, David Feeder, the validator himself, and fresh and fit guest, Jori Hex. Welcome.
You're muted, Jory. There you go.
Oh, hey guys, how's it going? Thanks for having me. I really like that title, by the way. When I read that Fresh and Fit model, I'm like, they should probably have me and call me their model now.
That's right. Yeah. Well, we've got so much to talk about on this episode. It's going to be an awesome episode. Last week, we had over 6,000 people tune in to the episode, whether they watched it live or on the replay. And that's like a small university. So shout out to everybody who's been watching. Hit the like and subscribe button now. And tonight's show, we're going to talk about several things. We've got Jory here. She's going to talk about her Hex journey. She shouted out Hex when she was on the Fresh and Fit podcast, which is got, I don't know, like 1 million subscribers on YouTube. It's kind of a big deal. And then there's been much more to her Hex story than just that. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the Hex meetup that's happening outside of Chicago that I'm putting on this Sunday. There's going to be a really amazing event. And then also we have Chainalysis for who's been selling all this Hex. And it's looking like, and we'll review all the facts, but it's looking like this is whale number 13 who's trying to FUD people out, who's trying to get people to sell Hex for cheap. It looks like they're positioned to try to maybe buy back in. And so that will answer a lot of questions that people have about why we're dipping here in the Hex ecosystem. You know, it's normal for everything else to dip, but in Hex, we're designed to pump. And so, yeah, so I'm really excited about tonight's show. I think it's going to be a great one. So, and of course, we're coming off of a Richard Hart live stream from earlier today. He streamed live with Eric Wall from Sweden. And, you know, if Eric's misunderstandings about Hex weren't enough to wreck you, I know that the audio is pretty bad, but, you know, the true Hexicans kept listening through the pain. And that was a pretty cool one. Did you guys see that?
I did struggle through that whole thing with the audio. Yeah, it was pretty wrecked. But, you know, it was a good one.
I was thankful they streamed it. Better than nothing, right? I didn't want to wait. I was telling Abe that last night. I'm like, I really don't want to wait. I hope they come with a solution. But luckily, Motley and PulseChain did. So shout out to them.
Yes. Yeah. Good shout out. Absolutely. Yes. Thank you for getting a camera in there.
I was happy.
Me too. Because when they said that they weren't going to stream it, I was very sad. So
yes.
Yeah, it worked out well at least. At least we got to see it.
Were they doing some outrage marketing right there? Maybe.
Maybe. I was sending them angry tweets. I was like, come on, guys, what's happening here? Like, you know, because they're not going to use the whole thing for the documentary. So, but all's well that ends well.
Yeah.
Shout out to Rags to Riches, who did a recap stream, and he took notes and he broke down every single point that they made and he weighed in on it. And so if you haven't checked out Rags to Riches, that's a good place to go to check it out. And the original stream from Richard was posted on Motley, the Investors YouTube channel. And so people can find it there. So yeah, it was really interesting. What do you guys think like the most interesting point was during the debate? Because they covered a lot.
They did cover a lot of, although it was very hard to hear. I mean, I think it was pretty well done. To me, it was a little staged as far as like what they were talking about. And especially at the end when he's like, oh, I have a lot of respect for you and you are such a genius. And I was like, yeah, but I mean, it was well played in my opinion on his side.
I would agree with that too. Actually, that was one of my favorite parts. Was right at the end when I feel like Richard or Eric was being honest. He's like, Richard, I like you. I think you're very smart. You know, everything you're doing is great. He cheered him on. You know, I feel like Eric loves to troll Richard and us as a community, mostly for like the engagement. but I think he enjoys it too. I think he enjoys the intellectual battle, but deep down in his heart, I think he's cheering for us. And I think he is, you know, he did sacrifice for PulseChain. So Eric will be there. So he likes to give us a hard time, but I hope deep down he's got a heart of gold.
The #1 fake influencer in the crypto world is BitBoy. And he posted something earlier today as well that was kind of trolling Hex, but still giving Richard props. He posted a chart of the Bitcoin price going down, but he labeled it as a Hex chart. Reacted because they didn't see that it was really a Bitcoin chart that had been crossed out. And so it was really funny, but that's the second tweet that we've seen from the #1 fake influencer in the crypto space promoting Hex and PulseChain. I think that we're at the precipice of the gates coming down, at least among the influencers, because we know all the top influencers sacrificed for Pulse and PulseX. Now,
Why do you think?
Go ahead.
Why do you think they've been not coming forward to actually say that they're Richard's fans? Do you think it's because they're afraid of getting censored or any?
I think that they're sensitive to the fact that, first of all, they're not getting paid to promote Hex, and that they're not certain that PulseChain will actually launch. Even if they did their homework, they would look and see that the testnet is awesome, and they would see the performance of Hex, and they wouldn't really question it. But these are people who, if they're not getting paid to do something, don't do anything, because then how could they justify their insane fees for everybody else, for every other project, right? So it's all about incentives, and that's that's what this show is about. That's what game theory is about, is looking at trying to predict the market, trying to predict other people's behavior, trying to predict economics based on incentives. Just like Bitcoin only exists as, a store of value or anything because people are, because there are incentives in place to get people to mine it, basically to create security, to solve the Byzantine general's problem, also to market it, because when you hold bags of crypto, you tend to say nice things about it. And anyway, so with that being said, I would love to hear from Jory more about her Hex journey, how it started, and maybe we could get into that topic here.
Yeah, of course. Well, first, thank you for having me. I'm very thankful to be here amongst all of you guys. I know Maddie had invited me a couple of months before, but I wasn't ready to talk and be as knowledgeable as I am today. So I didn't want to waste anybody's time. So today I feel much better and with my Hex journey. My Hex journey was actually very beautiful, a little funny. But before my Hex journey, I was in pharmacy school. I finished pharmacy. Then in May, I decided I no longer wanted to do pharmacy school. Well, I finished the pharmacy, but I did not want to be a pharmacist, right? Due to all of the restrictions and everything was going on, I decided I'm moving to Miami. So that's what I did. I moved to Miami and I opened my business, which was an IV therapy. I am a holistic pharmacist and I really believe in healing from within. So that was just, and my main goal is to have my healthcare clinic. So me opening my IV balance bar was just a step closer to my bigger goal, to make sure, because I was just moved to Miami, right? Nobody knew me. I wasn't reliable. Like nobody knew my work. So then, yeah, I opened.
You're really smart. You're not just like a model on Fresh and Fit, a podcast. You went to like a really smart university, and then you opened up your business. This IV health thing is like as featured on the show Billions, where the main characters are all like, I guess they partied their guts out, and then they needed like an IV service to make them feel better and not hungover and that sort of thing.
Yeah, well, in Miami, it does have the stigma as to a lot of people party. So a lot of them want to feel better the next day. So they want to get an IV. My main focus though was in the elderly. A lot of issues come because of vitamin deficiencies. Actually, not a lot of issues, but every health disease starts because of vitamin deficiency, right? So I wanted to make sure people understood that. They understood that the reason why they have RA or they have arthritis is because of calcification in their body. So what do we do about it, right? And unfortunately, there's so many drugs over the counter that doctors and pharmacists recommend, but they do not work. They don't work because the absorption doesn't work correct. They just have a lot of preservatives to have the shelf life, and it's just not healthy, right? So that's one of the reasons that actually can cause calcification in the body. So with me making people aware of this thing, I was telling them that, yeah, this is great for hangover as well, but this is deeper than the hangover, because like I said, my main focus is on healing people on an emotional level, right? So that's why I started with IV therapy. It was the easiest way for me to start with my healthcare clinic. So then one day, Patrick called me, which Hex Lion, they were in need of IVs. They were in Miami at the time, and they were not feeling well. They had just, I'm not sure if they had COVID or not, but they were just sick. So I go there and I give them both IVs. Actually, Dan as well, 3 of them. And then they paid me in Hex.
Dan's awesome.
Yeah, so
they paid you in
yeah,
Hex. What did you think about that at first? How did they pitch it to you?
Well, it was right away. I knew, I had understood. I started my healing journey in age 22. I'm 26 right now, so 4 years ago. So I understood that money was energy, right? And I just, I understood that concept. I had just not figured out how to make money with my time yet, like monetize time. I was doing pretty well with my business because, like I said, it was beautiful for me. I mean, a girl, I had a lot to offer. So that was going great, and I thought that's what I was going to do for sure. So when I was talking to the boys, and we're just having the conversation of money being energy, and I guess they were just surprised as to why I would think money is energy when I'm actually not in the cryptocurrency world, right? When I'm monetizing my time. So then, yeah, after that, I actually canceled all of my customers, which I had 4 more patients afterwards. And I had spent 4 hours with them just talking about crypto.
Wow.
This is why I tell everybody, when it came to Hex, truth just resonates with you. You know when people are BSing you, and you know when you're not, especially when you are in tune with yourself. And yeah, my intuition is very strong. So right away, I told them, yes, what do I have to lose? $700, right? That's how much they owed me for my service. So yeah, they paid me in Hex, and since then I'm a hardcore Hexican now. I'm even making videos for my people in Albania to break it to them in easier terms, to potentially do what I'm doing. Yeah.
That's awesome. And so can you tell us a little bit about how you went from accepting a payment in Hex and spending 4 hours learning from Abid and Patrick, and then you fast forward, you were on the Fresh and Fit podcast, and you were like the favorite guest, I don't know, of all time, or like for a long time. I mean, I was looking at the comments and everybody's the girl in the green sweater, like, she's the best guest they've ever had, because you were like interrupting them with like really prescient points, and like and then you pitched Hex.
Yeah. Well, the older I get, the more impatient I get with stupidity. And I honestly just stop it. I'm not trying to be rude, although sometimes they come off that way because, I mean, I'm Albanian, so we're a little harsh. Like, we don't play around. It's either I tell you the truth or I just don't, right? So I like to speak my mind, and I was trying to be as respectful as possible. But yes, I had actually been on the show before then, but I had not understood Hex. I had some crypto, just like some, excuse my language, shit coins, just what everybody told me. I understood crypto was the future, but I did not understand the fundamentals, right? Or fundamentals, as Richard would say. So I was just buying what other people would tell me. So I was a little bit introduced to crypto since 2019, but not to the scale that I'm actually diving in right now with Hex. So after the second time that I was invited at Fresh and Fit, they seemed to like my ideas and what I had to say. we kind of share the same ideas in some perspectives, not all. But I guess it's a first for them and the girls in Miami to think the way I think. So I think that's what got the most attention, which was great for me. I mean, I'm creating my own brand right now too, so I wanted to expose myself as much as possible at the time for my business. Like I said, people to be reliable. So yes, and then I pitched HEX when a question was asked. It was a perfect opportunity as well, because the question was asked, what is one of the cryptocurrencies that you suggest? And everybody was mentioning BS coins, in my opinion. So I'm like, okay, I gotta jump in. So then I just said, guys, you need to listen to Richard Hartz if you want to change your life, and you should learn about HEX. And that's exactly what I did. Which right now I'm in the talks of potentially having them for them to have Richard Hart to speak with them, but we shall see how that will go.
I was going to bring that up. I think that Fresh and Fit is controversial, and so that brand would vibe super well with Richard. Like, people who like Fresh and Fit would really like Richard. And I know that there have been multiple Hexicans on their streams before. I know that they own Hex, and that they even, I think they do maybe a stream once a week about finance or something.
Yeah. Trust me, I make sure every single time I see a Hexican on their stories, I reply, hey, that's a Hexican. You need to get Richard there as soon as possible. The thing is that it's on the talks right now. I'm not sure that they are trying to be as controversial as Richard is, especially with, I guess they don't know what type of feedback they would get. But I know Kareem as well is very good friends with one of the hosts. So I really hope Kareem, and I will try my best. Obviously, I just don't know how much weight my word would have. But I would like to see Richard there for sure, only for a different perspective, since they have already every night. Or
let's set it up, because I think Richard would be down, and I think they would be down. So let's do it. I mean, this community can accomplish so much, and especially when we all work together. And so I'm really excited about that possibility. I have I have some ideas of people that would just vibe super well with Richard, and there's like a short list of like 2 or 3, and they're definitely one of the top 3. So
yeah, for sure, I would like to see that as well. Anything, especially before PulseChain, that would be amazing. Some more exposure. I mean, they're reaching, because they are so controversial, they're reaching a lot of numbers. So
awesome. And so if you had to pitch Hex to somebody, if you had an elevator pitch, let's say, how would that go?
I would honestly say Hex is the way out to this American Ponzi that's going on with the schooling system. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, I went to pharmacy school. I went to school for 7 years, and I had a lot of loans. So what is the way out? I didn't understand how many loans I had and what I would do until I actually finished, right? Because you are so busy during school, you don't have time to think about anything else, because purposely or not purposely, that's the way it is. But that's what I would like to pitch it to everyone, that I believe every single person has loans, student loans that they need to pay. And the easiest way, the fastest way to pay their student loans is with Hex. Not only that, but I think the gem of it's the community. Honestly, I've been in a lot of communities, and as what I thought conscious communities, but I would say that Hex is one of the best communities I've ever been into, because of the mentality that everybody wants you to win, right? Like, I've never been in a community like this. It's beautiful to see. So yes, I want to surround myself with people like mine, like myself, and who want to see me win, and I want to see them win as well. So that's maybe 2 things. I mean, I can go on and on forever with Hex, seriously, because I do this all the time now with trying to pitch it in Albanian. Although explaining crypto in Albanian is very hard, but I think we're doing pretty well.
I've noticed that as well. And before we get into like the international psychology of Hex, I'd love to hear from David. What do you think about the pitch that Hex can be used to repay student loans?
I might know a thing or two about that. Yeah, actually. That was one of the first things that I ever did with Hex was pay off all of my student loans that I thought I'd be paying for decades. And that's why I made that video for Richard 2 years ago, back when Hex hit a penny. Because when Hex hit 1 cent, I had enough to pay all my student loans. And it changed my life. That's why I'm here too. That's literally why I'm here.
Wow, I did not know that, actually. I don't think I know your story, David, just yet, but I will learn about you as well. That's amazing, and that actually I knew I'm in the right path since literally the first day I had the boys pay me in Hex, but now it gets reinforced every single time I talk and I learn more. So it's great. It's definitely what I'm doing. I'm paying my student loans with my Hex.
I think Fresh and Fit is also it's a podcast about dating. Have you had any luck dating these days?
I think I've had the best luck out of all. I am dating Abit, which I knew I was going to date him the second time I met him, only because of how calm he was and how generous he was. And that's one of the two things I look at in a man. One is how generous you are, because how you treat other people, that's how you'll treat me. And then two, just how calm he was and how he approached every situation. Like everything he did, it was just so cute to me. And I'm like, yep, that's it. So yes, I've been dating Abit, but before then I wasn't dating for a lot of years, only because I just did not have anybody in the same frequency as me. It was very hard to find, but not anymore. And I'm thankful for that, because like I said, it's hard nowadays to find a partner who shares the same values as you, and I'm thankful Abit does.
Well, and you guys have made some streams together that explain Hex and PulseChain and promote the brand. And so I can definitely say you guys are really cute together and a really great example of part of this amazing community.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's all about respect, right? I respect his choices. And it's funny because the first time I ever went to Fresh and Fit, one of the conversations we were having with the girls, or the disagreements we were having with the girls, was that either to be a boss babe or, I was saying that, well, if I have my business and I find somebody who will support me in all aspects of support, then yeah, for sure, I'll quit my business, because at the end of the day, I realized that family to me is what matters and how I measure my success. So, and then yeah, like a couple of weeks later, I kind of just manifested it. I said it out loud, and that's exactly what happened. I wanted to support Abit 100% because it would have been hard if I focused on my business and he was traveling all over the world. So I decided that, hey, I still will accomplish my goal of having my health clinic with people healing in an emotional level. But for now, I can definitely put that in a pause while I, make more gains and have my clinic affording it by myself with no help from anybody else. So it's all about complementing one another and then seeing what is the big goal at the end of the day, right? If it's the same value, same goal, then yeah, I'm all for it. So that's what happened. I left everything and just went 100% in it, because I also believe in the product as well so much, so it was great.
Absolutely. And, I can't say enough good things about Abit. He's outstanding. I think the audience for this show, this is probably the most watched regular Hex stream, and definitely has like people who have the biggest bags in Hex probably watch this show more than any other thing religiously. And so our audience has a special relationship with Abit and Patrick, with Crypto Sparbuck, because we did so much cross promotion and people got to see their community come alive through the Hex tour and the Hex conference. These types of meetups, I think they really did a lot of good for the community, because it's one thing to make friends online or in a chat, but then to go see that this is real, to have something tangible like a meetup. And so I can't thank Abit and everybody who's working with him enough for all the cross promotion and good vibes.
Yeah, I think they're doing great. I mean, especially with the new tour coming up, Million Pulse Tour, they're working so hard, and they just had another stream today right before me. It's going to be amazing. I'm very excited to be part of it this time, especially because my focus wants to be in the colleges as well. You know, potentially I'll be speaking. We shall see how it will go. I haven't found a task yet that I would like to do, but I'm the type of person that I just like to, I can do anything, right? I just have to put my mindset in it, and I'll do whatever needs to be done. But yes, I'm very thankful to be and learning from them, because I think I'm learning the best and the fastest from, you know, from a potential person who was new in Hex.
Absolutely. I think the international psychology of Hex is kind of interesting. I got the chance, I got the chance to go to the Ukraine with a number of Hexicans, Steph and Funding Jim and Kareem and everybody. And that was before all of, the war broke out and everything. My heart goes out to everybody who's been affected by that. When we were there, I got to learn more about the international psychology of just saving and currency and all these things, right? And when I really put myself into the shoes of people who were trying to understand whether crypto would be valuable to them, I found it really interesting that the idea of saving money into the future, the idea of paying your future self, people around the world have been conditioned against this idea of saving. And that's because of inflation. When the price of everything goes up in the future, then any currency that's being depreciated that has less buying power over time, the point of holding that currency becomes, what can I buy today before the price goes up tomorrow? And there's a Bitcoiner named Jeff Booth who wrote a book a long time ago called The Price of Tomorrow. And he has really good streams where he talks about how the inflation is making everything more expensive over time, whereas technology would make everything cheaper. These central banks, they keep printing money and devaluing our ability to save. And so when I look at the US inflation, it's creeping up, it's going up super fast. The price of a package of chicken, went from $7 or $6 all the way to $10 in the past month where I live. And it's like, we're starting to see these effects. But just to speak to the international psychology, every other currency that uses the dollar as a reserve currency, which is the majority of the ones in the world, they suffer all of the US inflation plus their own inflation. And so I think everybody around the world has really been conditioned since we went off the gold standard to not really appreciate saving as much as people could. And so when I was pitching Hex to people around the world, I started to realize that it's a new concept for a lot of people, that you can save money, and that you can save money in crypto and it could be worth more in the future, especially with Hex. Have you found that to be true, that that in cultures where the inflation is high, people are more averse to saving?
Yes, of course. That's actually what I'm going against to the most, because people in my country are raised in a mindset of scarcity, not in a mindset of abundance. So it is very hard for them to comprehend how is it so easy to make money, I mean, one, obviously the problem stands because they do not understand what money is and the function of money. And two, like I said, how come you can just print money just by having, holding a digital asset, right? So because of that mindset, that's what I am trying to teach the most, and that's where I'm trying to focus the most, is that we do not need to work 10 jobs anymore, like maybe those times are over. So right now it's the time of what will you do in 5 years, in 3 years? And this is what I tell my people the most. Personally, me and many others like me, my family did not leave me anything, right? Like, because they couldn't, like, they did the best that they could. They brought me to a country to where they thought would be the best, and it was the best, you know. So this is what I'm trying to tell people, that let's reprogram our mind into thinking that everything it's actually so abundant, you know. You just have to, one, ask for it, and obviously two, believe it, right? So yes, I agree, people are just having a very hard time understanding as to how can you pay your future self. It's a concept that I'm having to work a little harder on, for sure.
And it's worthwhile, because I think you know, at the end of the day, and this is where the crypto psychology really gets me the most interested, is that people's behavior can sometimes be dictated by their relationship with their future self, by their relationship with money. And so part of our people, places, and things that create our environment is our money. And it's so natural, you know, it's so normal and subconscious that we don't necessarily realize it. But at the end of the day, I think that there's a lot of good evidence to show that people would act more right. People would act more righteously. They would take better care of themselves and their communities and the world if they had the right incentives in place. If they were incentivized to say, you know what, maybe the future is going to be way better than the present. And, you know, because I'm saving money in something that rewards me in the future, that's what I want to do, is make a better world, is make the world a better place. And, you know, I'm always looking for cool examples of, and I see it all the time, of hexicans who they have gotten sober, they've changed their life in some significant way, or they're out there giving back to their communities. They're paying for animal shelters, they're paying to feed the homeless, right? They're doing lots of charity work that really kind of testifies to how great this community is. And the fact that it's not just, I don't think that Hex attracts people who are the most patient and who want to make themselves better, but that Hex is one of the active ingredients in our environment now that allows us to be more optimistic about the future, to give back more, because we're coming from abundance, because we're using Hex in a way, because really there's never been a money quite like this before.
Yeah, exactly. And we don't know how to handle it, right? But it's okay. I think I really do think Hex is a high IQ asset. So if people are not ready to comprehend what's happening, then you know, they're not ready either to understand the power that it holds. But I think they'll come along for sure whenever it's time. Everybody has their own timing. Cannot be the same.
I can't wait to see what it is that will make Hex viral. And I can't wait to see if it's, you know, a Red Bull can, or outrage marketing, or fashion stuff, or animal shelters being opened, or, you know, what it is. And that's another thing, like, that I appreciate about the community, is that it could be anybody who triggers this domino effect. It could even be Jory.
Yeah, let's see. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Honestly, I would not be surprised for myself, knowing myself. And I'm kind of living, I'm manifesting everything I'm living right now, right? Like, I am painting my own life. So why not? Maybe I'll manifest that as well. Let's see. First, I'm trying to break some traditions and some critical thinking in my people's head. And that's very important, because, I mean, right now we have zero freedom, right? And for some reason, they still do not comprehend that. They still think that I have some freedom. So that's what I am little by little trying to break. And then, yeah, Albania, it's very easy, I think, to, or easier than other countries, because only 3 million people live in there. So easier maybe to get across the whole country.
That brings up an interesting topic. Would you guys rather onboard people who have less wealth, maybe even people who are poor, let's say, or who don't have much savings. The majority of people don't have much savings, right? Would you guys rather onboard people who don't have much savings, but they won't pump the price that much? Or would you rather onboard people who are rich and could pump the price?
Well, that will depend on the strategy, right? Depending on what are you wanting out of that on board. But I personally think as of right now, I want to focus on the children, or, you know, the ages of 20s and younger, because they are the future. And if they understand what is going on, then we will have a bright future. And if they don't, then we won't, you know? So I think my priority right now is definitely getting people out of their you know, dark days or nights. So yes, potentially focusing on, not potentially, that's where I'm focusing actually. All of my onboards that I'm onboarding right now, I mean, the highest that my highest onboard has been $4,000, and my lowest has been 500, you know? So it's not a lot to play with where it's going to be a lot of effect on the price. But I think long term, it will be better to onboard those people.
That's cool that you know that.
Well, you know, I came just from the same as them, right? I'm looking for ways out after I finish school as to, oh my gosh, how am I going to pay all of this money that now I now owe? I basically have to work for the rest of my life, right? So yes, I was kind of forced to understand and learn. But it was also because things come a little easier to me, because once I put the attention, then, you know, it's easier. But yeah, I think that's where I want to focus right now, for sure. I always say, I mean, I tell Ellen this all the time. If you want to start helping somebody, you got to start with your family. And then you got to start with your people, with your neighbors, with your friends. And then after that, you can spread. Unless you do those people, then it's great that you're onboarding everybody else. But it's very important to onboard our families and our friends and our neighbors and everybody who's in the same class as us.
Why is that, do you think?
Well, because money is kind of the problem of everything, right? If people had money, they would not have to be away from their families. And I think that's very, very important. Having a family with a structure, raising structured kids, will be important for our evolution as well. So I don't want to have kids and have my kids hang out with some dumbass kids, like, you know. So I want to make sure everybody who is going to hang out around my kid, at least it's in the same mentality and you know, same mindset as me.
Right on. Well, it seems like you have a good mindset, and that is, you know, structure is certainly something that makes a huge difference in people's personal development and in your environment. When I taught people who were recovering from substance abuse and mental health problems, that's where I would start, is advising people to avoid triggers and stay busy with healthy activities. And how could people stay busy with healthy activities? I would give them a worksheet that had like 100 like self-care activities. And then I would give them like a blank weekly, hourly schedule. And that was a way that people could schedule themselves to create structure. And, you know, speaking of which, HEX is a really powerful tool for people to create financial structure for themselves, because it, unlike all these other cryptocurrencies, it allows you to avoid counterparty risk with your future self. Exactly. Right? So when I buy Bitcoin, I don't know that I'm not going to sell it the next time it rips or dips. I have to constantly hold on and hope that my hands could be stronger than everyone else's. But then, you know, it doesn't benefit the most people, because not everybody has the psychology or the practice to hold on to insane gains. If Bitcoin went to $1 million tomorrow, everybody who needed the money would have already sold when it hit $100,000 or when it hit $200,000. Just like we can see on chain that everybody, like what Greg Schoen or whatever his last name is, like the guy who sold Bitcoin at 30 cents, right? Because he bought it 8 cents. I mean, so in Hex, it's a tool where you can create structure, because when you time lock, then you don't have to worry about having strong hands. You can have smart hands and use the smart contract to ensure that you're not going to dump your bags in these amazing pumps or in these amazing dumps.
That's a good point. It does protect against both up and down. And it's a way for people to create a perpetual income machine. You know, you make a Hex stake every 12 months. You get to look forward to that for 15 years. Every year you get another stake. And that can help with supplement your income for many, many years. So it's a powerful tool on a lot of levels.
The other thing that you get for 15 years is a good reason to market Hex, to tell other people about it. And that's the stickiness that Hex has that these other cryptocurrencies don't as much. People always talk their bags, but a Bitcoiner can always change their bags at any minute. Whereas a Hexakin who's staked has different incentives. Their incentives stay constant. That's powerful. That's powerful stuff to have a marketing team locked in for 15 years. Where else does that exist?
Yeah, nowhere. This is very unique.
This is why it's only high IQ asset, right? Only a couple will understand it. It's not for everyone.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, because you have to be ready in so many levels to comprehend what's happening.
Yeah, and it's not easy to get Hex in the beginning. You know, if you're already not used to Ethereum and MetaMask wallet and having to get your coins out of Coinbase and do all that, for a lot of people, they've never done that before. It's a lot of steps. So there is a learning curve.
What do you guys think of this right now? What I'm telling my people, because they are just right now getting introduced to crypto, right? So the first thing that they're getting introduced to, at least my onboards, is Hex. And the way I'm telling them to go about it is through Staker app, only because I know they might be a little afraid to do Binance or Coinbase, and you know, they might send it to a different address or whatnot. So I have found that Staker app, as that, you know, maybe I'm not, you know, knowledgeable enough, but as of right now, I think for me, that's what works best, to teach them to go through Staker app, since they only have to do everything there. You know, they can purchase there, they can get a wallet, they do not have to do any transferring from an exchange. So what do you guys think of that? Is that a good strategy, or is there anything else you recommend for me to onboard people in Albania?
Sure. So David likes Staker app. I don't. I like the thing that I made. And so maybe we could go back and forth and talk about the advantages of both without fighting either one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You want me to go first? Shall we talk about Staker app?
Sure, please.
Yeah, so I like Staker app because it's simple and easy, and it goes right on your phone, Android or Apple. It's right in the app store. And it's nice for people who've never used crypto before, because it's all there in the app. The only problem that I'm still sort of having with it is actually the fiat options to use your credit card to get Ethereum or US dollar. Depending upon where you live, that might be a problem. So I actually like to pair Staker app with a Coinbase account, and then you can just send US dollar coins from Coinbase. But I use Staker app for all of my new onboards, for all the new folks in crypto, just because it's simple and easy. That's, you know, it works, and it's all centralized. You're not going to accidentally go to the wrong website. It's all in the app, so it's really hard to mess up. So for beginners and new people, I do like it.
Okay.
Oh, also, if you got into Staker app, let's say before May, maybe before mid-April, you might qualify for an airdrop from Gnosis Safe.
Yes. Yep. Totally. And there's also the Staker app Twitter account also tweeted about their own coin potentially. No promises or no expectations, but maybe there'll be another airdrop just for Staker app users as well from Staker app.
I really
like your money.
airdrop.
I'll take it.
And free alpha for everybody out there. I did message Steph and asked him in panic mode. Just kidding. I wasn't really in panic mode, but I was asking him, are the Gnosis safe people, are they going to know that they should give coins, their free Gnosis coins, to everybody, not just the people who created the wallets, but the people who hold the wallets, right? Because we talked about that technical issue that kind of like with the ENS airdrop, they accounted for people holding the ENS domains and credited those people more than the people who just created the ENS domains. And Steph said that he hopes that they'll do the right thing and they're aware of how Staker app did their distribution of wallets. And so that was really good news to me. Excellent. And we don't know when that'll happen, but we do know that they've announced that they're definitely doing it. So that's kind of cool.
Yep.
That could be a multi-$1,000 airdrop for people who even put in $100 like in MetaMask or like when Uniswap did their airdrop.
It's got potential.
So for that reason, I like the idea of using Staker app. Another alternative that people can use. Oh, and I like Steph and Kareem and those guys. They're awesome. The one disadvantage about Staker app that I don't like is that technically it's a wallet that's tradable, and people know how I feel about tradable shares. So we don't need to get into all that right now. But needless to say, there are lots of options when it comes to Hex. Another cool tool that Jory, you could try out and let people know, there might be some people that would benefit more from TShare.app. And this is something that I made last summer. The advantages of TShare.app is that it all works within MetaMask, but it turns MetaMask into a more powerful tool than it already is. So TShare.app is read only. And when you go to this website, it will check to see if you already have MetaMask. And if you don't have MetaMask, it will take you to the correct place to download it automatically, so that you don't have to give people the lecture right off the bat. Make sure you don't download the wrong MetaMask, because there's imposters out there and they can steal all your money. I don't like starting my crypto onboarding pitch with that lesson. And so that's one advantage. So it can also, TShare.app is programmed. It's basically a front end for Hex. We don't take a fee. So there's no fee taken. You still pay the normal fees for doing a swap in MetaMask, but we don't take a fee. And it's a read-only way for you to create. You can onboard using Apple Pay for some people in some countries. It allows you to use Apple Pay to buy in your first $500. But with TShare.app, you're able to go from fiat to TShares in minutes for some people who are lucky enough to live in the right jurisdictions and their banks approve it. Because MetaMask has built-in fiat onboarding solutions that work for some people in some places. But again, the thing that I like the most about it is that, it also gives you more statistics. Even if you're a Hex veteran, it'll give you more statistics about each stake when you go to TShare.app than if you track with Staker app. And so it also pulls into your browser. So if you're on your phone, it'll pull into Safari, and you can create stakes and you can monitor stuff in Safari, and it'll pull through to MetaMask in a secure way. It also works on your computer as well, of course. So it's a really cool tool. People should check it out because it's so self-explanatory. You don't have to sit somebody down and walk them through it, because TShare.app again can look to see if you have MetaMask. once you have MetaMask, it can look and see if you have Hex. And if you don't have Hex, it'll pop up a button for you to go to Hex, to ethhex.com. And it'll remind you to keep a little bit of ETH so you can create your stakes. And it also pulls through to go.hex.com so you can confirm that it's actually creating real stakes for you that are earning interest. So yeah, it's like, it's a super powerful tool. And, again, if you're a Hex veteran, instead of going to tshare.app, you want to go to go.tshare.app, and that will give you a more, it'll give you a more detailed breakdown of all your Hex stakes than you can find anywhere else.
Very neat, thanks.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm just sharing the link in the chat. So tshare.app is for people who are brand new and they need to be walked through. And then for the pros, go.tshare.app.
Yeah, my people are beginners, so this would be way too complicated for them. That's why I've done StakerApp as well. Like, and most of them, unfortunately, have been able, well, just now are opening bank accounts, right? So it's a journey.
I mean, I would encourage you to just give it a try, and then you could see which one you think would be easier for people. But I would
For sure.
argue
I wrote it
that,
down. Yeah, I wrote it down. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah. So as usual, like, I really appreciate when we can have multiple points of view on the show. And in the end, we all end up getting along because we're all trying to pump each other's bags and do the best for the community.
Oh yeah.
Another topic we could talk about. What do you guys think about all this outrage marketing?
Well,
any hot takes? I have a Red Bull can here. Any hot takes on that?
Gives you wings.
Exactly.
I mean, I personally enjoy, I don't know, like humor like this. You know, I'm a grown adult. I enjoy all kinds of raunchy things. So I get, you know, I feel like I'm partially the target market, but I'm already a Hexagon. So, you know, I'm a biased towards Richard. I'm a bad person to ask, sadly. You know, I feel like we should pull people on the streets and be like, hey, have you heard of Richard Hart? No? Well, what do you think of this picture here? What does this make you think as soon as you look at it? I'd love to get like random folks' reactions. I'd love to, like, you know, like record it.
Mm-hmm.
We should do a segment of that. That'd be fun.
Think? What do you think, Jory, about Richard's marketing?
Listen, like I said, Hex, it's only some people will understand it. That's the same thing with Richard. Only some people will get him, right? It's not for everyone. I like it. I said this yesterday as well, but I really do feel like I'm watching Donald Trump in a rally or something, that he's just, you know, just talking and being who he is. So that's what I think about Richard as well. If he thinks that it's working, and obviously he said that it's working, then why not? I have nothing against it. If people don't like it, well, I don't know what to say. Maybe they do not watch. That's an option.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's plenty of other Hex content out there, I feel like, at this point.
Exactly.
You don't have to watch Richard, even though he's, you know, the founder.
Well, some people think that it's like a cult of how much support he gets, and then again, he's just being who he is, right? So if we do not allow him to express his creativity, however he needs to express it, then, well, maybe we're not gonna get, you know, more creative things coming our way. So I just think that we should let everybody be, for sure.
That's a good point. I like that. Yeah, well said.
Yeah, I think Richard has like earned his right to be himself, like 100%. And I think outrage marketing is a creative way. You know, I didn't know what to call it first, and I wasn't sure about it, right? Because like me being a therapist is a totally different brand than talking about big PPs. You even though I was the first one to get a shirt, like, I don't know, 10 months ago now, that says, I have a huge cock and I'm forking Ethereum, which is a Richard Hart quote. You know, so I wasn't sure what to call it at first, but outrage marketing, I mean, it's a very creative way to route around censorship. And there's gatekeeping everywhere. You know, my Hex therapy stream got taken down last Thursday because I read too much off of Twitter how great all the Hexicans were feeling in general, the OGs and everybody else. I mean, even, you know, like even Sticker Guy, like, and Jory have like super positive energy about Hex, even though maybe they got onboarded at a higher price point than we're at now. You know, the people who stick around in this community are the ones who have gone through dips and lived to tell about it.
Well, I want people to know that I got in at 24 cents, and then I bought another dip at 18, and then another one at 11. So I'm actually on the minus right now, but I'm honestly not worried because I understand the code and I understand what it means, right? And again, it's not that I'm looking for something instant right now. I know I have to do my time, my delay gratification, and I really believe in his products. So yeah, that's why I'm so passionate that everybody needs to understand, because it's not about the money that we're doing, it's about the changes that we're making, right? This will literally change your life, not only the monetary, but also for you being who you are. Because if money allows you to do that, then you will be who you are, because you no longer have to work for things that you don't want to do, right? So that's why it aligns very much with what I work on and what I stand for. So that's why I'm very like 100% on it. And yeah, I'm grateful to be a part of it for sure. I wish I had heard about it sooner, but you know, everybody has its own time. So I'm happy I did when I did.
When we look at the numbers and we look at how many people are in Hex now, we're still early. It's so clear. There are only 100,000 stakers. There are only 400,000 addresses. I mean, how big can it get before it goes viral? I mean, and the fundamentals are there. The most bullish thing that I can think of is the fact that millions of people are going to be coming to get their free money when PulseChain launches. And so it doesn't matter if PulseChain launches yesterday or by the end of the month or by the end of the year. What matters is that we're beating Ethereum 2.0 to market, and we are the first and only project, it looks like, that has figured out the secret ingredient that giving people free money and freeing them from high fees, that is going to be a winning combination. Millions of people coming in to the RH ecosystem, having a good experience, getting their free copies of ERC20s on the PulseChain, having a good experience with Pulse and PulseX, they will all end up in Hex. Hex will be the store of value. Richard will keep promoting Hex to all of the millions of people coming into the ecosystem, right? And so it's just, you know, all this volatility now is, I mean, it's funny to me how it's going to play out, because not everybody's remembering the ultimate game theory move that's about to happen. And that's something also that we see with different airdrops and projects that have been launching recently. Pulse Dogecoin, Hedron. I mean, you say bad things about these things and people will attack the living crap out of you. Okay? You will get beat up 6 ways from Sunday. And it doesn't matter how much you do for the community, and it doesn't matter who you are and how much you've sacrificed, they will eat you alive. Okay? And that's not even that's not even the main thing, right? And it doesn't matter like any intellectual argument. free money good. That's the consensus, okay? And so any kind of gatekeeping that will happen, imagine millions of people getting this free money and then, have many of them having a reason to then defend the ecosystem, I think is going to be incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. And once those people, like skeptics, people who aren't quite sure, once they try it, once you try a PulseChain transaction for less than a penny in the future, that's going to instantly win people over. They're like, wow, it works just like Ethereum, but I can click this button and it doesn't cost me $20. Be like, yes, you can. You can click it as many times as you want. Wow.
That actually brought me to another question that I have for you guys. Do you recommend the new onboards right now keep just liquid or stake on Ethereum, or should they just wait and stake on PulseChain?
To me personally, it depends how much hex they have. If I would not do a stake of, it's got to be at least one TShare for at least 1 year. That's what I try to tell people.
Nice.
Yeah. If it's any less, if it's any shorter than a year, it's not very good. And if it's less than a TShare, it's not very good for new people. Otherwise, if they don't want to stake, liquid's okay. To get ready and just have liquid in your wallet for PulseChain, that's okay too. Nothing wrong with that. But staking is good if you can do it.
My new hot take on this is, if somebody can get half of a TShare, that is beautiful, because when you get half of a TShare on Ethereum, then you get another half of a TShare on PulseChain when it launches. And then across both chains, you have a total of 1 TShare out of a total of 21 million that exist. And the longer you want that money printer running, the less you're going to pay for it, right? Because and that's another cool thing. So if everybody's time scale is going to be different, but if somebody started out with a 15-year half of a TShare, that would cost them what nowadays, like $700,
less than, because you get the bonus
like
multiplier for, so it's like,
yeah,
it shouldn't even be that bad. That'd be like $300.
Oh, $300. Okay.
Yeah,
and then
roughly.
So I like that starting price point for people, like $200 to $300. That's a really sweet spot that I could see for people, so they're not risking their whole life savings. Then what I would imagine I would do if I was as knowledgeable and getting in for the first time is, then I would try to get half of a TShare for 10 years, then 5 years, then hold some hex liquid. And having that 4-step ladder positions the person to be able to withstand all of the ups and downs that are going to come their way in the next 5, 10, and 15 years, but also to control 1/21 millionth of the TShare supply is really cool, because then you can dunk on Bitcoiners that you have more than them.
Oh, that's a good point. That's something I need to work on as well, because as of right now, because the amounts are not as big, I'm just suggesting them make just 1 15-year stake, and then the rest just keep liquid. So when they when they get their copies, then they just have to come up with a strategy of what do they want to do then. But maybe I have to change that a little bit as well.
And
I like that too, though. Let me just say, I think that's a good approach, because when they do the 15, that's the hook. That's
what I'm telling
addicted
everyone
forever. Because you wanna get the money later, so they'll never forget about it if they do the 15-year right off the bat.
Some people are confused. Like, the way I'm getting the 21 million number is there's about 10.5 million TShares currently. Yeah. And then when the chain copies onto PulseChain, there will be another 10.5 million. Those are not the same thing. It becomes 2 different assets at that point. But still, when I think across all chains, that's where I'm getting the math. And again, it's like, if more of the liquid hex staked, it would be possible to create more than just 10.5 million TShares on the Ethereum chain. However, I find that less likely. And if that happens, then remember the USD price has to pump a lot because more people are holding up the price over time. And so all things considered, I think that that people can do the math there. Yeah.
You make a good point, is that even with Ethereum Hex and PulseChain Hex, a T-share is about as rare as a Bitcoin.
Yes.
And right now you can buy a T-share for a lot cheaper than a Bitcoin. And which one do you think is going to be more expensive in 5 years? A T-share or a Bitcoin? I'd probably bet a T-share in 5 years is going to cost more than a Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So sounds like they're on discount right now.
Absolutely. And, a lot of people have been wondering why the price has dipped recently. And we've got some chain analysis to explain that. But we've also got some voodoo science to explain it as well. Now, I'm not, you can't make this stuff up, okay? The day that Hex started to dip severely, and now we've gone from like, I don't know, a month or two ago, it was like 20 cents. Now it's like 8 cents or something. It all happened when the average stake length hit 6.66 years. It's a curse. So that's what made the price dip. Is it's the exact same day that we hit that 6.66 years. So
I did not know that.
If people want the price to go back up, either increase your staking length or decrease it. Either way, let's just not get stuck on 6.66.
Oh, we're not past it yet. Are we still stuck there?
I'll
check
I
real
haven't
quick.
looked.
Hopefully, I think we're past. Let's hope so.
Let's look. Everybody hold your breath.
Yeah.
It went down. So it was only 2 days ago or 3 days ago that it was 6.66, and now it's 6.64.
Yeah, you're right. Interesting. Must have been some stakes coming out.
Yeah. Another explanation that's much more likely is that whale number 13 has been, it looks like playing some whale games. And shout out to the Hex Trading Telegram and to somebody who posted on Twitter. Let me go ahead and bring it up here. We have Chainalysis that shows that there were 22.5 million Hex that got dumped a couple of days ago by whale number 13. So I think that, aren't there only like 13 whales? So this is like the smallest whale, which is still a huge account. Okay.
Yeah.
This is somebody who, as of last night, I was looking at their wallet, had like $111 million of Hex still. They have over 200 stakes. They have 223 stakes that are beautifully stretched over the next 15 years. So this is not somebody who seems to be short-term minded, okay? And but it does seem like they are responsible for the major dip that happened because they market sold, okay? This would lead me to conclude that this person is trying to FUD the Hex price, trying to get people scared so that they dump their bags so that this person can buy it up at the bottom. This thread here, and I can post it in the chat here, is a really fun way to learn more about Chainalysis. And you can click around on Etherscan and see the different addresses that are linked to this account. What we know is that this account started, like the Genesis account for this was a day one Hexakin who entered the adoption amplifier. They've never cashed out any of their Hex that's linked to any of their wallets. They sold over $2 million worth of Hex a couple of days ago, and they've still got another $1.4 million of Hex sitting in the same wallet that they dumped from. So they didn't want people to look at their staking wallet. So they moved it around to a couple different wallets before they dumped from like a newer address, I guess. Again, this leads me to believe that this is a whale playing whale games, trying to get more hex. We could be wrong. All we know is what's on the chain. But again, it looks like this price dip is being caused by somebody who's positioned to accumulate more hex, or who's just going to be a long-term player in the ecosystem. This gives me some level of confidence that the price really wouldn't be this low if it wasn't for this particular market manipulator. Now, I will also say, I know like at least 4 or 5, I think at least 4 whales I know watch this show from time to time. So, whale number 13 might be watching. So I don't want to like shit on you too bad, right? We always appreciate when, all the sharks and whales and dolphins are watching the show. Maybe, and you can comment if it's you, and like sign a transaction, or send something to Maddie.eth, send me 1 hex or something, so we know it's you. But what's going on here? We're not sure. I mean, maybe they're trying to get us to go through the cycle of market emotions faster. Maybe they're low-key doing something good for the ecosystem by giving people a discount, right? There's different ways to look at it. What do you guys think?
I'm not sure. I haven't had a chance to check out the chain analysis myself, but if they're that big of a whale, it's totally possible that they're trying to push the price down, and then they trigger more selling, and then they buy back. And this is before the PulseChain fork. So we don't know how long we have. It could be weeks, who knows when PulseChain will come out. So they're probably just prepping their bags to get ready. That'd be my guess. That sounds logical, right? Like if you have that much hex, that's something you could totally do. So who knows? Or maybe they're just selling it to have the cash. I'm not sure. Did it say in there, are they taking like US dollar coins and sending them out to Coinbase, or are they doing anything else?
It's sitting in a wallet,
okay,
which leads me to think it's sitting in a wallet that doesn't have any ETH in it.
Okay, so they couldn't even send it if they wanted to.
Yeah, unless they moved ETH from their other addresses. So like that seems to be some sort of statement. So that's really interesting. I mean, this is somebody with 119,000 TShares, and their staking ladder is pretty complete. They have stakes coming out forever, basically. But they've not transferred to an exchange, and none of their wallets that are linked to this wallet have ever transferred to exchange. So they're literally somebody who came in through the adoption amplifier. So we don't know where that came from, basically that allowed them, I believe, some degree of anonymity to our chainalysis.
If you could see where they got their Ethereum from, we could trace it. If you could go all the way back to the adoption amplifier and find out where their ETH come from before they deposited it.
I think that's why I think it might be like a referral fee or something.
Oh, gotcha.
Because it's kind of untraceable. So that's super interesting. So all right, here's where it gets even more interesting. Okay. This is somebody who was about 50th place in the PulseChain sacrifice, because they sacrificed $1.3 million for PulseChain, but they're not showing up on PulseLead.xyz because they entered late and they got a volume bonus, but not a time bonus. That's super interesting. Okay. So they didn't get the best rate. Their rate was 7,500 per dollar. Okay. So that's weird, right? Like a day one hexagon doesn't get the best rate that they could have. So this is somebody who was part of, it's not necessarily the OA, but people will remember I predicted that the OA would come in super late because you want all the other whales to get in first. You want people to think that there's a huge opportunity. So this is somebody that had the same idea as the OA. I don't think it's the OA. I want to like emphasize that. I really don't. The OA is never sold. We would know, I think, if it was selling it. I think it would be totally against all the game theory we've ever talked about. All I'm saying is, that their pulse chain sacrifice timing is super interesting. The other interesting thing about this wallet is that they only sacrificed $50,000 for Pulse X. So they did 1.3 million for PulseChain and only 50,000 for Pulse X. So it kind of makes me wonder, either this person has like other wallets, but why were they making that statement against Pulse X? Why were they dumping Hex? Were they trying to make a statement against Richard delaying the project? Was that the timing? Is this Rackham? You know, like, I don't know. But Rackham, I don't think like...
Rackham sacked in the beginning of the volume bonus. He
Correct,
got the number
correct,
one volume.
Yeah. Yeah, and
For
Rackham wasn't a
PulseChain.
deal in Hexakin, and like Rackham doesn't stake, supposedly. So like, this doesn't seem like Rackham.
No.
But it seems maybe like somebody who didn't, you know, is it that they didn't like the delay and that's why they dumped the Hex price down? Is that like their huge flex? Like, is that what they're trying to communicate to the market?
It's possible. That's a possibility. The market obviously reacted negatively to Richard making that announcement that PulseChain was not coming out this month. So it's totally possible. They're just angry and they're clicking the red button.
Could it be possible that they're just selling for their own benefit and doesn't really have to be, you know, game theory? Oh,
yeah.
I mean,
it could all be speculation too. This is speculation. We have no proof.
That's what David said, right? Like, and that's totally possible. It's curious though that they haven't transferred the money out, and that they don't have enough ETH, I think, to transfer it out. And so it's almost like they're making a statement with that wallet where the USDC is sitting. Like,
interesting one to keep an eye on. I'll have to watch this wallet. This is really this is like a mystery.
I know, totally. It's so cool. And you know, in what other asset are we able to keep track of all the coins so well that we can see this whole history? We can see a story playing out, and people are able to make statements anonymously, right?
This is why Hex is better too than centralized exchanges, because we can actually look at the chain analysis and we can see the players in the market. You can't do this on Coinbase or Binance or anything like that because you don't know who's trading. So this gives us as Hexicans like an advantage and like one of the most transparent markets online. So it's pretty cool.
Craig says maybe it's a 16-year-old and has no idea what he's doing with Grammy's inheritance.
Man, that 16-year-old's got some big bags of Hex then, man. Wow.
Another possibility, which would be pretty wild, is if somebody was trying to make drama for the documentary.
That's another good point too. I never even thought about that angle. Huh.
Yeah. You know, because like the documentary, what do we know about the documentary? All right. The documentaries thrive on conflict. When you tell a story, there has to be conflict. And what I see when I go to events and when I see Hexicans interacting with the documentary crew, like typically it's been everybody's like, oh, like bowing down to the documentary crew, like, oh, thank you for putting us on Netflix. Like, documentary crews are there to like spill the tea and tell a controversial story that might paint you in a bad light. Did anybody see Joe Exotic, like Tiger King, right? Like they made that dude look really bad, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that the documentary crew is like intending to make Richard look bad or Hexicans look bad, but I'm just saying there's going to be conflict in the documentary, and it's not just going to be Eric Wall, you know, like saying a bad word about Richard. I mean, they barely even had the camera on Eric from what I could see. which I'm sure they had plenty of cameras, but like the camera was on Richard the whole time. Another observation is that in the documentary trailer, which was like, or not the trailer, but the teaser, which everybody loves so much. Remember, it's got like the creepy music. It's got Richard like shooting guns and, you know, saying he's better than everybody else. And then they've got the guy who bought in and he was like betting his family's mortgage on it. And he was telling his wife in the trailer, like, oh, you know, like they're like digital quarters. So we have every reason to believe that the guy who's like the newbie in crypto that the documentary interviewed definitely bought in at like 25 cents. That was the price of HEX around that time. And I guess it was like one of RG3's friends who they like, because I remember they were asking when David and I were there doing the funeral video. You know, they were asking like, do you know anybody who's going to go into HEX really big right now? And, you know, that they could follow the price of HEX. And so, yeah, I just think it's curious that the price is dipping now, you know, when the documentary is needing to wrap up and tell, you know, some sort of story that shows conflict and everything. When I met with the documentary people at the HEX conference, I was asking him, I was like, that was my first question when we sat down and I gave him the footage. I was like, what's the conflict? And they were like, oh, nobody ever asks us that. We're not telling you. But like, I was like, yeah, I see you guys. I see you guys over there. Like, you know, so it'll be interesting to see, I think.
Yeah, I can't wait for it to come out. I'm super excited for the documentary.
Do you guys think HEX could go much lower?
I don't know. What do you think, Jory? What's your prediction for how
I
low
mean,
can it go?
I think it has room to go a little lower. Looking at the chart, maybe 0.05, I would say. I would hope it's not lower than that, but I mean, if it is, it is. But I would say, yeah, 0.05.
Half a penny or 5
Yeah.
cents?
5 cents.
5 cents.
Yeah.
That's a good guesstimate. I like that number because if you go to Uniswap version 3 and you look at the liquidity at 5 cents, there's the buy wall. So I think you might be right. I don't think it'll go any lower than that. I think it's going to, personally, if I had to guess, I'd say 7 cents. And I took that from Trayvon James. His charts recently, he's looking at about a 7 cent bottom potentially based on his lines. So I think that looks pretty good. We'll see what happens. What do you think, Maddie? How low can we go?
So psychologically speaking, I like 6 cents because that seems to be where we took off when the sacrifice phases started about 10 months ago. I also think though that this whale number 13 wallet that has another 1.3, $1.4 million worth of HEX sitting there, it sold basically half of its liquid HEX and it market dumped it. So again, like if you're trying to extract more money out of the system, you would set a limit order. If you were trying to help the ecosystem, you would set a limit order. That's why it's so strange that somebody with 119,000 TShares would do a market sell, right? And then they've got the other half of their liquid stack sitting there, making people question, will they dump that too? And that is part of what FUDs the price down to where we are now, is that other people are selling because it's a reflective system, because when people see selling, they want to sell. So I think if that whale actually controls other wallets other than this one, or if they're, I mean, it really depends on their motives, whether they will keep dumping the price down. And we could get down to 5 cents. We could get down to 2 cents, because if they dump that bag on a market sell, then it would probably cause other people to dump reflexively. One possibility that I haven't finished like thinking through is, could there be some sort of advantage or play for somebody who missed out or didn't participate in the Pulse X sacrifice very much, I was trying to think, would there be any reason for somebody to dump the price of HEX so that somehow they could get a better entry when we start ratio trading on PulseX? But I can't really think of how that would be. But all I know is that this whale number 13 like doesn't have that much PulseX, and they have a ton of PulseChain and a ton of HEX, and they're manipulating the price of HEX down. Are they trying to accumulate more HEX? Or are they trying to extract value like you guys were saying? Are they just trying to do a normal sell? You have to sell sometime. If you don't want to sell a top and you don't want to sell a bottom, you might sell, you know, at 8 cents or 10 cents or whatever. But are they doing something to try to get a play to get Pulse X really cheap? I'm not sure how that would be, but
it would be to get the HEX cheap to prepare for the fork. I think that would be the play, right? Is to get HEX as low as they can get it, and then all that stable coin that they're saving, buy it right back in. Because even if they started dumping it, let's say 10 cents, and they're pushing it down, and then they scare everybody, and then everybody else pushes it to 5, well, that's like a half discount for them. So it could be a good move. We'll see how it plays out for them.
Guys, before I jump off, because I'm at Patrick's place right now and I'm pretty sure he wants his house back, I wanted to ask one last question.
Please.
When PulseChain, what are you guys thinking? Is it gonna be a couple more weeks, a couple more months, maybe next year? Like, I really want to know your thoughts.
Not next year. It'll be before next year. In my opinion, my gut feeling, August at the latest, but I'm feeling July at this point right now.
Okay.
So that'd be my gut feeling. July.
Interesting. Just in time for the Pulse Conference online that I'm hosting in the middle of July. That'd be cool. What do I think? I think it's going to be later than people think. I think it's going to be pretty late because I think that part of the whole reason for getting people to sacrifice their HEX is because HEX had so many mad gains. If we didn't get like a third or a half or whatever of the liquid HEX off the market through the sacrifice, our price would not have been able to go up to 55 cents. And the price would not be sitting at 8 cents today. We would be much lower. And so I think like delaying is good game theory for HEX price appreciation. As odd as it sounds, like right now we're fudding out the traders. The traders are getting wrecked. And maybe that's what the whale was doing, was trying to get rid of the traders. That would actually make the most sense. So yeah, well, okay. So you could tell I don't have a very good like feel for when PulseChain will launch. And I know Jory has to go, but one major question I have for David is, what is this that Richard's talking about changing to have transactions processed outside of the EVM? That there was a change to how PulseChain is expected to operate, because that seems like it could be a major dictator of when Pulse will launch. Is this new feature that we didn't know about?
Yeah, it's kind of a curveball out of left field. I didn't see this coming, and I don't know all the details. I'm not really privy to it. It's not even in the private PulseChain dev chat. Like there's no information about this in all the places that I can find it in my little nerd corners. What it looks like from what I read from Richard is they're taking, because everything was written in Geth, right? It's Go language Ethereum. So what he's doing right now is they're taking the smart contract for the PulseChain for the validators, and they're rewriting it directly in Go, and they're removing the whole Geth. They're like cutting out Ethereum, and we're doing it from scratch, which is interesting. It's literally like code from scratch, which is good because, like, I guess the devs for PulseChain, they already got it working, right, inside of Geth. So now it's just like, hey, we already built this thing. Why don't we just take it outside, translate it again, and it'll run way faster. So it's a big improvement. I don't know how much work it is. I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't know how many guys Richard's got on it, but it is a good upgrade. So I didn't see it coming, but that's basically what's happening. It's like an overhaul. It's like we're getting like a new engine that's going to run even faster than before.
Interesting. So that's super relevant to all of us making time predictions. And that's why I brought it up, Jory, is because with this major announcement that I haven't heard many people talk about of it's basically an upgrade to improve the throughput so that more transactions can be processed than would be like a 4x. So normally we know that PulseChain could handle 4 times as many transactions as Ethereum. This is something that could increase that throughput even further. And so as David said, kind of a curveball, something that the community will need to digest and discuss more before we can have more of a better prediction of when Pulse will launch.
Yeah.
Understandable. Yeah, I mean, I'm moving back home for a little bit until PulseChain launches to do the onboarding actually live and with the people one-on-one. So I have all the time in the world to wait, right? Whenever it's time, he'll be here. But yeah, just thought I'd ask. It's very in everybody's mind nowadays. When Pulse?
Totally. Yeah. Well, and thank you so much for everything you've done and are doing to get the word out about Hex and to onboard people. You rock.
No, thank you so much. And if you guys have any advice, I'm willing to, you know, change my methods, willing to learn. So please let me know. And if anybody's looking for any assistance in any way and they know that I could help, I'm also willing to do that. If you could support me with just subscribing on my channel, I'm just trying to reach as many people as possible. Most of my videos are in Albanian for my people, but don't forget to check out KSB TV as well. That's where we'll be hosting all of the information about the Million Pulse store coming up, which I'm very excited to be a part of as well. And also, thank you for having me here as well. I really enjoyed these conversations, and yeah, I appreciate you, and I'm thankful for both of you guys.
Well, it was our pleasure. Everybody go right now to the links in the description below and subscribe to Jory and KSB.TV on all their different platforms.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much. Have a great stream.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jory. Take it easy.
Awesome. Well, that was another great guest. We've really been lucky lately, haven't we?
Absolutely. Yeah. Rockstar guests this past few weeks. Yeah. It's fantastic.
Yeah. So are there any threads that we should keep wrapping up? Maybe we could go back to just this upgrade, I guess, in the throughput for PulseChain. How mysterious is that?
Dude, man, mysterious, strange. I didn't see it coming at all. I had no freaking clue this was going to happen. You know, Richard says, oh, we're rewriting like the smart contract in straight go. I was like, what? You're doing that now? What the? I did see like a mean tweet about it. It's like, bro, you've been working on this for a whole year and now you're going to rewrite the thing from scratch. Even me, when I saw that meme, I kind of laughed and like giggled. I was like, yeah, they kind of got a point. Like, what is this? So I don't even, not even me. I have no idea what prompted this upgrade or who said it needs to be done or why. Yeah, totally out of left field.
So we could speculate, you know, and kind of that. I mean, that's all we have at this point is to like say smart things and possibilities, and hopefully that will fill the gaps until Richard educates the community on the reasons for the decision. I suspect that he hasn't told everybody the reasoning behind this move because he wants to stay competitive. For the same reason that when he was on the Ladies Discourse stream, he did not explain all of the cool things that he could put into a stable coin or into a wallet because he doesn't want people to beat him to market for those things. I think that it must be pretty good stuff. And I also get the sense that maybe this could be bug related.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's an overhaul for like the validator engine. So like for me, I think it's pretty good. Is it'll make all of the servers more efficient. They're gonna run faster. There's none of the Ethereum Geth problems because Geth is slow, right? It is like the server. It's slow. It's crappy. It sucks, right? So I think by taking the pulse chain components and taking them outside of Geth and writing them in their own Go language, and then I run that natively on the server, it'll just give us more speed and more throughput. So in the future, when blocks are full and pulse chain super popular, I think we'll be able to turn it up to 11 and our servers won't crash. Like we'll be able to do more and more and more, and it'll just be like way faster. That's my best guess. This is like going from like to give an analogy, it's like a 4-cylinder engine. Richard's like, no, that's too small and shitty. That's like a lawnmower. No, we're putting in a V8 like Hemi. So I think it's like an engine upgrade if this was like a truck.
Well, and Johnny says maybe Richard doesn't like people saying that he's copying their stuff. For the open source stuff, I mean, copy is fair, but certainly Richard likes things that are going to perform better than anything else that exists. And that's another thing that we've seen is that, Richard's stuff works better than everybody else's because it's so well designed. And I know that Richard has been hiring Go devs, but that's also because you need Go devs to do Geth anyway. So but the fact that they're scrapping a good portion of the code that Ethereum uses makes sense in a lot of ways because you don't want to be open to the same bugs that Ethereum is open to. And by starting new, you don't have so many negative externalities in the code itself.
Mm-hmm. I think also what Johnny said before might be I think that's going to be a nice benefit of this is Richard will be able to say, oh, people are like, oh, you just copy pasted Ethereum. You didn't do anything special. Okay. Now Richard can say, hey, look, we actually did write our own code for the validators and the proof of stake mechanism. We changed the proof of work of Ethereum, and that's like brand new from scratch. So I think he'll be able to say that after this, technically.
Absolutely. Definitely an interesting development. And having a higher throughput, now I guess I have to be the guy who says the positive and the negative for that. So the positive is you can do way more cool stuff. Like I was thinking about this when I was running today. How cool would it be to actually have MOIP, money over internet protocol, and to be able to stream your payments, and I could donate, whatever, like I could donate like 0.1 PulseChain to the Methuselah Foundation or to Aubrey de Grey, like for every minute that I'm alive or something. Like you could do that if you have cheap transactions, if you have high throughput. However, the disadvantage of having higher throughput is it might take longer for the price of Pulse to appreciate on fundamentals alone. But to balance that out, I don't think, right? Because like if the chain fills up, then we'll have the same problem of Ethereum where all the OGs are super rich, right? If you want to call that a problem.
That's part of the plan, though, sadly. Like in 5 years from now, or even call it 10, let's say 10 years from now, Pulse Chain might be as slow as Ethereum today after a decade. But if you had Pulse Chain from back then, yeah, now you're a freaking millionaire. So what do you care? Richard said that himself. So
is that still true if we switch to Go instead of Geth and have higher throughput? Then we won't have to bid up the price of block space because block space will be more abundant.
Well, the block space in Pulse Chain is auto expanding, I think. So
Isn't it does get 4x.
Yeah, it's like some massive extra gas that we can do beyond Ethereum. So like our blocks burst up in size if needed for extra. We can like stretch them.
Oh, really?
I think so. Yeah, it's like huge. Like we can like extra up the limit. And I think this whole Go thing, we're still going to have 3-second blocks. It just makes it more likely that we'll have 3-second blocks forever. Because even if Richard rewrites this in Go, then like it's like, because you're taking out that EVM with the Ethereum virtual machine. And if anybody who's worked with virtual machines, you know, it's like a computer inside of a computer, but it adds a layer of abstraction and it's a little bit slower. So by removing that, we're going right to the source. We're running the raw code. In theory, we'll still have 3-second blocks forever, but this should just work for a lot longer without any kind of problems, or we have to upgrade. It should just be a better ride over the long term. That's speculation. I don't know the real root cause of why this is happening.
So my original understanding was that we would only have 4 times the block space because we're going 4 times the speed, because our blocks are going at 3 seconds instead of 10 seconds. Now, I also know that there's a setting in Ethereum where they can increase the block space, and they've done that several times, and then they stopped doing it, which is why ETH is so expensive. Part of the reason is because block space is expensive because it's scarce, which is BS.
Even for like Ethereum, even if they increase the gas limit per block, it's still going to fill up. Like there is so much demand, like it's hard for them to keep up. And I don't know what the repercussions are if you start making blocks too big. It will, it could be more than 15 seconds to verify the blocks. There could be other problems. Things might start failing. It's sort of beyond my pay grade.
The reason that, and so like a 4x increase, I think would still fill up pretty quickly. But if you're increasing the block space as well as the block speed, then it wouldn't fill. Then at the end of the day, right? I think having more throughput, and we're going to see this play out. This is a super interesting debate. Like if we have more throughput and the chain is more usable than Ethereum is, will that increase the price of Pulse more than block scarcity would? Because the majority of price appreciation in Hex comes from adoption, not from the actual fundamentals. The majority of price appreciation in SHIB and Dogecoin come from adoption, from people loving dogs, not from the fundamentals. The fundamentals are shit. So nobody should consider this FUD at all, just that I'm talking about these technicalities, because Pulse can still pump even if it's horribly inflationary and has no use case and is literally just a meme. This community could still become incredibly wealthy from it.
Yeah,
the fact absolutely. That it's deflationary and does have a use case and gets millions of users off the bat is like mind numbing. Okay. But it's an important question if we want to be able to do really cool, cheap transactions for a long time. If we want to be able to do that for 10 years, we might be able to get the best of both worlds. We might be able to get super high throughput and super high price appreciation. And this upgrade that is part of the delay that Richard is going with in terms of rewriting a bunch of the Ethereum code gives you less bugs, more throughput, and that might be worth waiting for.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're right. None of these technicals behind the scenes, I really don't think they're going to affect the price. It really is onboarding and popularity and virality and people buying and not selling. That's what moves the price. Whether we have bigger blocks or faster blocks or this or that. You already said it. There's a lot of other chains that have really great price appreciation, and the technicals are awful. Like Dogecoin, for example, it's merged mined with Litecoin. Like it doesn't even have its own miners or nodes. It's like a parasite on Litecoin. So, and that thing pumped like crazy. So yeah, it's, PulseChain is going to be the latest and greatest technology. However, that has nothing to do with the price. The price is going to do its own thing regardless of the technology.
I've been doing some infographics, like creating them, and they're so epic. I think I need to save them for like their own like super short digestible video. But I've been like, doing some research into how high can PulseChain and PulseX go. We've all seen these super valuable infographics from Hex McKenzie and recently Funding Gym, and I just I'm adding to those. We've got as an overlay here, this is one that already exists. I think it's valuable to be able to, definitely take Luna out of there and then, recalculate some things and show people more possibilities, because there's not just one opinion on how high it could go. And this infographic, I've shown this to a lot of people. I think this is amazing, and huge shout out to Hex McKenzie and Funding Gym for putting stuff out there. But I've invested multiple hours to try to do research and add to these, these really important digestible questions of like, how high can we go? And it's really high. The answer is really, really high, because everything else in crypto sucks so bad, and just getting things right are going to make all the difference. Like the list of things that have pumped, they didn't have hexagons behind them. They didn't have, they had to pay influencers instead of the influencers paying us, right? Or paying Richard in the form of sacrifice, which like in Hex paid us. Basically, when we paid Richard, Richard paid us back even more. Because we know that, the OA ended up accumulating 95% of the Hex because it helps support the price. And I also want to get David's reaction to what Richard said today, which is the most he's ever said about the adoption amplifier OA wallet interactions post AA. At the debate, he definitely said something. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, do you want to like lay down the quote? I don't know exactly what Richard said. Unfortunately, the audio was wrecked. So
yeah. So Richard said, "This is only a hypothetical." He said, if the ETH that got put into the adoption amplifier was held by the OA, and then that ETH did a 40x price appreciation, and then the OA knew right when the top of the market was and sold and then bought back Hex, then that was a pretty sweet deal for all the hexagons.
That's a really sweet deal for the hexagons. Yeah, I think that's the most bullish thing I've heard in a long time.
Definitely.
I don't know if there's, I don't know. This hasn't happened yet, right? Like, not to anybody's knowledge anyway. I haven't seen any chain analysis supporting it, but
I think so. Richard talking about the hypothetical, of course, like is important because Hex is not a security, and we can't have any expectations of the work of others. And, it limits Richard's options and the OA's options when people are pricing in things that may or may not happen, right? And so Richard very well could have told everybody in the early days of Hex, I am going to recycle this ETH and buy all of your bags back at a much higher price in order to enrich all of you silly people who are used to getting wrecked on rug pulls. This is a magic carpet ride, right? And if he had said that, then everybody would have believed in Hex so much that the price would have shot up to whatever it could have. The price would have appreciated so much quicker, and the people who believe, who are more long-term thinking, would not have been rewarded. So I think it's valuable from a securities standpoint and from a game theory and price standpoint that Richard has never and will never promise to buy back your bags at a higher price. However, he did hint that this is something that the OA may have done. And again, yeah, that's super bullish, because it doesn't even matter if the funds are depleted. And maybe they are, maybe Richard will never buy another Hex again. But the fact that it seems like he has bought so much Hex, and we could see the OA has bought up so much of the Hex, that seems like a really cool tool in his toolbox that he hinted at admitting today and has never hinted at so much before.
Well, I love the way you put that, tool in the toolbox. He's like Jerome Powell of the Federal Reserve. Well said. Perfect.
Seriously. And, all of the hundreds of millions of dollars, right, that were sacrificed, that's an interesting situation that could play out again. However, we also know that Hex went through severe dips. So it's not like having the founder buy back coins at a higher price. It's not like that creates a line straight up. And it doesn't mean that you don't have to do your time, that you get rewarded instantly. It's your behavior, doing the right behaviors are what we hope get people rewarded in crypto. And it's not selling the bottom, and it's not whining about the founder's behavior, and it's not whining about the price that is the right behavior in this situation. I did a 2.5-hour stream yesterday, and oftentimes I think out loud and come up with cool things. And part of Hex therapy is interacting with the chat and trying to figure out what would be helpful for people to hear so that they can keep believing and doing their best behaviors, taking care of themselves and stuff. And, one of the things I realized was how valuable it is to praise yourself and encourage yourself when you see yourself doing the right behaviors, even though it doesn't feel good in the moment. And so there were people in the chat, and I know of people who bought in at Hex at the top, and now they're down, and they have to decide, are they going to sell, hold, or buy more? Everybody's situation is different. I can't tell people what to do with their finances, but I love seeing people figure out, hey, I could afford to buy some more. Hey, I could be happy and stay positive and say good things about the bags that I hold, even though I'm experiencing pain at this moment.
Yeah, like even Jory talked about earlier, she was buying at 25 cents and 15 cents and 10 cents. And, this is not financial advice, but typically in markets like this, you want a dollar cost average on the way down. If your bags are not packed for PulseChain, if you feel that you don't have enough Hex yet for the upcoming fork, this is the opportunity of a lifetime. You know what I mean? For every time you buy and the price is lower, you're lowering your dollar cost average. Each coin costs you less and less. The lower you can bring that, the more you can buy, the cheaper it goes, the more you're going to be rewarded when it goes all the way up to the top. So this is the time when people actually get rich. It's having the fortitude and the foresight to purchase now and hold and prepare. Then you got to get ready for what's going to happen later. This is the opportunity to get more if you don't have more. This is how you build your bag.
Yeah. And the psychology of most humans is to buy when the price is going up and freak out when the price is going down. When we can practice doing the right behavior of buying dips, that can be beneficial to us, even though it doesn't feel good. And I also think it's helpful, to bring the positivity to the community as much as you can. So, even if you're not feeling great, you could still say positive things. And that doesn't mean we have to be an echo chamber, but it just means like we don't have to pay all of our attention. Like if somebody's a trader, let them go be a trader. If somebody wants to complain that the price went down and they didn't like that, ignore them. Or you could attend to them and make sure they're okay and help them out and do your service. But if that's all we ever do, we could get burnt out that way, taking care of others and arguing facts, when we also want to be putting out positivity. There was a relationship research that showed that in order to have a healthy relationship, that you would want to have 5 times as many positive things as negative comments.
Interactions. I've heard even 1 to 10. I've heard every 1 negative interaction erases the 9 good interactions. So yeah, the odds are definitely stacked in that regard. And it's hard, man. It is hard to buy the dip. It's painful.
Yes.
It's scary.
Yes.
You're watching the price go down right now. It's like, oh my God, today it's 8 cents. And then it hits 7. And you're like, oh shit, how much lower is it going? Do I buy now? Do I wait till next paycheck? What if it goes up? What if it goes way lower? I retweeted one of Richard's tweets last night. He just said, everything's going to be okay. We've been here before. This is what happens in crypto. This is not the first time. This is not the last time. This is part of a normal market cycle. I feel it right now. It feels like early 2018. It feels like when we hit that Bitcoin 20K top and then it just rolled over and died and everybody's portfolio just vanished. If I feel that again, I feel like we're in the midst of that. But now I'm a Hexican. So it's like I'm staked, I'm calm, cool, and collected. I'm making money I get more Hex every day with my T-shares. I get more Hex every day. So I don't care what the price is. I know it's going back up in the future. When? I don't know exactly when, but it's just a matter of time. I'm in this for the long haul. Time in the market is better than timing the market.
That's right.
So, this is just one of those scary dark points when you're in the bear market and you're trying to buy the dip and it feels horrible, but you're going to thank yourself later. And this will make everybody stronger too.
Yes, absolutely. And again, it's reassuring to me to know that it's this whale, doing whale things that is one of the major reasons why the price has gone down. I even saw Richard popped into the Hex trading.
Sorry to interrupt. I was going to say, I think we're on lower than average liquidity as well, which is why when, whale 13 makes moves, they might be more drastic. They can make bigger candles because there's only, there's a $250 million Hex and then a couple $1 million, maybe 5 or 6 million of USDC in Uniswap. It's not that much. It's not that much when you think about how much Hex is out there. Yeah, it's only 250 million Hex for sale. If that were to get bought, the price could skyrocket. So it's very very volatile.
Yeah, that's something that I think we both kind of predicted going into the fork, that people would pull their liquidity, and it seemed like the liquidity was higher than usual for a while. There was $10 or $20 million worth of liquidity there, compared to it seems like the running average has been more about where we're at, 5 million.
Yeah, yes, yep. But I think you're right. I think in preparation for PulseChain, it's going to start drying up, and it's going to be less. And before you know it, it'll be 150 million Hex, 100 million. Well, that's 12 million USDC liquidity. Okay, that's double what I expected. Okay. So,
but still lower than it has been, because I think it got up to 20.
Yep. So, and I expect that to drop off.
Yeah. So what does that mean for everybody at home is that the price, that we're going to see more extremes. We're going to see the price dump or pump more. But remember that not everybody can get that price, because that price is just only a function of how much is actually being sold. And nobody can ever, even if everybody hit the button at the same moment, not all the orders would fill because there's not enough to trade at that moment. So
there's only one way to do it.
Yeah.
And that's with matcha.xyz and setting limit orders, those gasless limit orders. That's the only way that I know of to perfectly catch dip at the exact price that you're interested in. So if you want to buy Hex at 5 cents, you can go there, you put in $1,000 of USDC or more. You got to do at least $1,000 for this to work. And if the price were to wick down and whale 13, let's say, dumps to 5 cents, and let's just say it goes just below to like 4.8, if you've got that matcha.xyz limit order, it will fill your bags and you'll get all the Hex at 5 cents, no gas fee. And that's like the perfect trade. So that's how to do it.
Absolutely. And I don't think 1inch is available to everybody these days.
Nah, I don't even mention them anymore because they blocked US customers. So 1inch is dead to me.
But another one that I've heard Crypto Coffee recommend, which I have not tried before, is metric.exchange.
That's same guys as Matcha. It's actually OX protocol. It's the same guys, just a different front end.
Good to know. Very good to know. And yes, I have set limit orders on Matcha before, and remember that it doesn't always fill, even if the price chart shows that it goes down that low, because there has to be enough profit for the bot to pay for the gas fees, which is less of an issue on days like today, where you can do a swap and buy Hex for like $9. So
yeah, that's not bad. How messed up is it? That's not bad. Only $9 for a swap. Wow, what a bargain!
Right?
PulseChain, save us, please, please, PulseChain.
Yeah. That all sounds great for people to prepare for more ups and downs, and dollar cost averaging is the way to go, because we don't know what these whales are going to do, but we can practice ourselves doing the right behaviors that seem to work out in the long term for not every investor does well, but the investors that do, it seems like, have a set of principles that are advisable in general.
Treating Hex like a 401k and just buying $200 worth every paycheck is going to treat you way better than trying to trade, trying to buy low and sell high. And I'll buy Hex at 5 cents and then I'll sell it at 10, and then I'll buy back at 7.5, and then I'll sell at 14. It's like, you're going to get wrecked playing those games. You just got to peel off a little bit every paycheck and just get a little bit for whatever price you can, and just keep saving it and saving it and saving it and saving it and staking and build that ladder. That's the key. That's how you win.
Oh yeah. And that's a matcha.xyz, like the T.
Yes, that's it. Yep. And then you go to the limit orders tab, and it's great. I love it. I use that exclusively now.
And the max duration you can set it for is 7 days, and then it'll auto go away.
Which is good, because it didn't used to. You used to be able to, I think, do unlimited, and it would screw people over. So it's you got 1 week, and then your order's canceled.
If you don't wait that amount of time and you want to cancel it, then I believe you have to pay some gas to cancel it.
Correct. Yes.
So that's another important thing to remember. And what else about limit orders?
Before you make a limit order, you have to authorize Matcha to spend your coins.
Yes.
So be aware of that. You are giving Matcha unlimited spend on your coins, but it's safe. It's Matcha, so it works. It's the OX exchange protocol, so it's just like Uniswap basically. So it's fine.
And I mean, for any of those approvals, if you have a giant bag, you can spend a little bit extra gas, technically, although not in this case, but like in general, whenever you do it. Well, yeah, you do pay gas on an approval, even if you're setting a limit order that doesn't charge you gas for the actual swap. But
Correct.
you can set a limit that's not infinite on those. You can go in manually. And so I would recommend that if somebody has a big bag and you're not setting up a separate wallet to be your like limit order swap wallet, but then, then you have to pay a little bit more to approve a larger amount in the future. Also remember that your liquid, it doesn't get taken away during that time that limit order is set. So if you have like, 0.1 ETH that you're putting into the limit order, then you could, if you weren't keeping track of it, you could like do something else with that 0.1 ETH, and then that would create a weird situation.
That's totally something to watch out for. Yes. Let's say you put in a limit order. I want to buy $1,000 worth of HEX, US dollar coins. You got to leave the US dollar coins there for the week, right? Because the order may get filled while you're sleeping. But this even happened to me recently. I set a limit order for HEX and I didn't have enough US dollar coins in the wallet, right? It like literally spent them all and it gave me all the HEX. And I was like, oh shit, I didn't expect HEX to go this low. I had like these crazy limit orders in there that I did. Like, HEX ain't going to 8 cents. No way. Dude, I wake up, it's like, oh, your order is filled, bro. It's like, oh shit. I sent more US dollar coins to that wallet and it automatically kept swapping more because the price of HEX was lower than my limit. So if you do that, if you set a limit with more money than you have and you keep putting money in your wallet, the system will keep auto swapping you until your order is filled. So that is something to be aware of.
In that situation, did it give you the best price or did it go with what
it gives me the price of what I chose. So if it was 8 cents, like I'm getting HEX at 8 cents, even though it's at 7, which is why the robot instantly fills you because the robot can go get cheaper HEX and it just starts. It's like, oh, you wanted it at 8 cents? Here you go, buddy. Enjoy. Boing. Yeah, that's how.
So it would have benefited you in that situation to cancel your order
Yes.
if the market had already moved beyond you and you just didn't have enough in that wallet to fill.
Yep. And I made the choice to send the USDC to complete the order. I knew I just wanted it done. I was like, here, it's only a couple extra $100. I want this completed. So I did that. But that's how it works. So you got to have the cash in your wallet. Otherwise that robot will be waiting there until the order's canceled.
Thanks to Sinclair Crypto for the $9.99 super chat. You rock. Tin Top. Important to double down on this information. Small limit orders will not fill until the price moves past your position. So you have to understand the math that the gas fee needs, even though you're not paying it, supposedly, like you're paying it in kind of the overhead in the, what is that called?
Like the spread.
The spread. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And cool. Any other info? Hey, it's Nardo. Yo, shout out to you.
What's up, Nardo? Off the top of my head, that's all the tips and tricks I've got for now.
Cool. For limit orders and people can definitely use those. If you're whale number 13 out there and you weren't meaning to send one of the messages that we tried to decode on the show and you were really just trying to cash something out, you weren't trying to make noise for the documentary. You weren't trying to send a message to Richard Hart that you don't like outrage marketing, or the delay of PulseChain. If you were, we're just, you're just trying to cash out a little bit of money, nothing wrong with that, but consider using a limit order next time so that you don't push the price against yourself in a single trade.
Yeah,
please.
That'd be nice. Yeah.
For everybody's sake. And then, then come tell us all about it, JS asking, what is the scoop with the Chicago meetup? I'm glad you asked. That was the next topic I wanted to get to. Let me share my screen.
While you're pulling that up, let me just talk about metric.exchange that you mentioned with Crypto Coffee. So it's just like matcha, but the cool part about metric.exchange is you can see everybody else's matcha orders. So it doesn't say who, but like if I take $1,000 US and I want to buy HEX at 8 cents, If you go to metric.exchange, you'll see my order in the order book, and you'll see all the buys and all the sells posted. So it gives you a visualization of who's using Matcha, and you'll see like, oh man, somebody's got an order for 100,000 US dollar coins of Hex at 5 cents. And you can actually see the order book, which is really, it helps you place your limit orders so you can undercut people. Because if somebody's like, they got a big order, let's say like 7 cents, well, I'm going to come in at 7.1 and my order is going to get filled right before theirs if you're trying to catch the dip. And vice versa, if you're trying to sell the top, you want to put your coins right below somebody else's. I'm going to sell mine for 99 cents instead of $1. And then when that green candle goes up and reaches and buys the coins, it'll grab yours first. So little tip.
So Matcha is a way to, so basically if you have big bags, you want to go to metric.exchange and look at where everybody's limit order is set, and then go to matcha.xyz and set yours so nobody else can see where yours is set.
Totally.
Easily.
Yeah. And you could set your order right there at metric.exchange. You could do it there too.
But then people would be able to see that.
Well, they see them both. They see Matcha and we see metric. Doesn't matter what you use, we see them.
Okay. Really?
Yeah, because it's the same order book. Matcha doesn't show it. So, but metric.exchange does. So
if you don't want other people to see your limit order and front run you,
there's nothing you can do.
Well, on Matcha, it's not as easy to see what other people are doing.
Yeah, Matcha doesn't show it. But
you're saying that if I put it on Matcha, metric.exchange will show even that.
Correct. They're both the same site.
All right. So there's no way around it. I know in some centralized order books and stuff, there are ways to place like
ghost orders.
Yeah,
or
orders.
Yeah, like hidden orders.
Yeah.
Sadly, this doesn't do that, but yes, that does exist.
But the liquidity there is so low, it's not worth doing in this case.
Yeah.
It's this is how you spell it. MATCHA.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. There we go. A lot of people have not had their limit orders filled. And we normally think that's because the gas fees were so high that, let's say you did a $200 limit order to buy Hex and the gas fee was $200. That means that if the price of Hex was 15 cents, it would have to drop all the way down to 7.5 cents for your order to get filled at that 15-cent price, because the bot is not going to lose money on the trade.
Yeah, there has to be profit for the robot to make the gas money, basically.
So advertising it as a gasless or a feeless swap, I think is a little bit inaccurate. Because it's rolling it into the spread anyway. And
correct.
The point of limit orders is so that you can selling at a certain price so that you don't have to market dump and sell the price against yourself. Or if you're doing a giant buy and you don't want to push the price against yourself, you let people eat into your wall that you're setting very, depending on how much you want to risk it not filling, you could set it closer to what the market price is. That's really what it's for. And then it's also for people who want to catch dips on things that are super, have low liquidity and high volatility. As somebody mentioned that they did it for P33. If you ever want to learn how to trade something that is so illiquid that, I was doing like $200 buys after we had them on the show because I wanted to buy like $1,000 worth for fun.
Yeah.
And my $200 buys were pushing the price against myself like 5 or 10%.
Oh man, what? 5 or 10% on $200?
Yes.
That's huge slippage.
Yes.
Huge.
Yes. So it's like you can't buy it at the price it says,
Yeah.
and you can't sell it either. So it's like that's a feature that they had described, and but I tested the liquidity like Elon Musk, and it it taught me a thing or two, and so yeah, that's a good example of where setting a limit order would be super profitable if you think it'll hit.
Shout out to Johnny Chaos too. He actually showed me a trick using matcha.xyz, and he was posting limit orders like super sky high, and I did it with Maxi, and it worked. I was selling Maxi for $1 each because there was so low liquidity. When people were buying, the candles would just shoot right up, and the matcha like relay, it would fill whatever order anybody put in. So somebody used the MetaMask wallet swap, and it swapped, and they bought my Maxi at $1 each, like a bunch of them. It was crazy. It was like a bug. But you could do that on matcha if you can set like really high sell orders. And sometimes, man, they fill, and you'll get more money than you ever expected. It's strange. I don't even know how it shouldn't have done that. The slippage was so high. I feel bad for the guy who got that order, but man, I made a bunch of money.
Wow, interesting. I know I've come across coins that had such low liquidity that MetaMask actually didn't let the order go through.
That's what it's supposed to do. Yeah, because this guy got wrecked, right? He's buying a 15-cent coin for $1 each. Like that should have never processed.
Yeah, interesting. Very interesting.
But it works. So I've seen it. And Johnny Chaos, shout out to him, man. He called that out on Twitter. He taught everybody how to do it. It works.
Wow. Yeah, and this is all super interesting. It's super relevant here to our ecosystem, especially on weeks like this where the price of Hex has suffered from somebody market selling, and it's a reminder to all of us that we can do way better with our investments as long as we don't get left behind, which there is a risk, if you set a limit order for Hex at 3 cents and the OA puts a buy wall at 5 cents or something, which I don't know is the case, but hypothetically, then you never get filled, and then the price moves up to 30 cents or $3 or $30. But again, if somebody wants to buy a bunch of Hex and they want to do it correctly, and get the best price, then they would probably be setting a limit order as well. So interesting stuff.
Yep. It's the proper way to do it.
Yeah.
And especially for amounts over $1,000. It's like, why not? Now, if you're going to swap $500, don't even worry about it. Just market swap. But $1,000 or more, yeah, consider using a limit order for sure.
I could probably do a better job of using limit orders when I'm buying and when I'm selling.
I'm obsessed, dude. I love them. I set ridiculous. Yeah, dude. I set ridiculous laddered ones, like Hex at 8 cents, Hex at 7 cents, Hex at 6. And as it wicks, your orders get filled all the way down. Totally. That's how you could buy the dip.
I've done that in other coins. Yeah, like in Mimblewimble coin when I used to, like when that first came out, and I used to mess around with that.
Yeah. Or even on Coinbase. I used to do limit orders on Coinbase all the time. I remember there was a flash crash in Litecoin in 2017 where it was some weird bug with their exchange. That shit wicked to $4. I had a buddy at my work, man. His limit orders got filled all the way down. He got the cheapest Litecoin you ever seen, and the price bounced right back up. He made hundreds of bucks in seconds for free. So
wow.
I love long-term limit orders at stupid low prices, man. You'll get them. Sometimes you get lucky.
Does metric.exchange put a limit on the amount of time that the limit order exists?
It's the same as Matcha, only 7 days.
Okay.
Yep.
But there is the possibility that aside from the fee you pay to approve, the coins to be spent to do a limit order, that somebody could set a low limit order just in case they get a spectacular price. They get a wick down or a wick up or whatever, if you're buying or selling.
Mhm.
And then it times out, and then you just do another one. And now you don't have to pay to approve if you're buying with the same coin, USDC or ETH or whatever. And then there's no fee to keep that alive. You just have to keep checking it and resetting it each week.
Yep. I do mine every Sunday night. It's like a habit. Every
Cool.
Sunday night, I go, I check my limit orders, I refresh them, I make new ones, and you just let them ride. That's it.
Interesting.
It worked with Hex. I didn't expect 8 cents. Here we go. So even just recently, man, I'm getting orders filled. No, did not see happening.
I'm going to type metric.exchange in the chat for people who want to make sure they're going to the right place.
Yep. It's an ugly website. It doesn't look good. It's actually pretty laggy too. But man, the information you get on there for those limit order books, it's good. It's worth it.
Did Eric Wall create it?
Oh, I highly doubt that.
His websites have like 0% uptime.
I didn't catch what Richard was like asking Eric about what website he had today. I couldn't understand quite what they were saying, but like Richard was busting on him, and Eric refused to give out the URL. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah. First off, I should explain that like somebody's intelligence is like inversely correlated to how much like audio disturbance they can withstand. So like all of you people who are smarter than me out there, like probably got way more put off by the crummy sound than I did. There's just like a weird like thing about that like, I don't know. I know a bunch of like super smart people who don't like audio disturbances. Anyway, yeah, so Eric Wall was rapid firing, like trying to change the subject, claiming that that's what Richard does in his debates. And so like they were kind of jumping around, and then they got stuck on like websites because Richard was trying to say that Hex has had a flawless uptime, and that includes the front end, and you know that's something important. And Eric was making the point that like that's way different than a layer one, and it kept harping on the point that like layer ones are harder, and that Richard's layer one would have a significant would have a catastrophic failure in the first year. He was willing to bet $10,000 on it.
Man, I'll take that bet. Easy. I guarantee, like I would bet $10,000 PulseChain will not stop like Solana. That's not in the cards. There's no way. Even with the PulseChain, even with the bugs we have, the PulseChain only halted on the testnet like once or twice. We got those bugs worked out months ago. So
then Eric like acted like he had a gotcha moment when Richard was giving the example of the Hex website, the front end having flawless uptime, and Eric was like, "Oh, that's not impressive. Like, who like that's not an accomplishment. Websites are so easy." And to a layperson, that seems like a good argument. Like, yeah, what's so special about a website compared to a layer one? However, when Richard pushed back and said, "Well, what's your website? I bet Hexicans could take it down momentarily. Just go ahead and say the URL." And Eric, didn't have anything to say to that.
Because he knew his little web server that he's running on a Raspberry Pi somewhere would crash in 3 seconds if all the Hexicans went there. That's why.
So, yeah, that was an interesting part of the debate.
Oh, man.
I want to make sure we get back to this meetup that's happening in Chicago. I just threw this page together. It's available at mattieallen.medium.com, so you can see what the address is for the meetup. I'm so excited to be a part of this, and I feel honored. somebody who watches the show regularly on Tuesday nights, who's like a shark in Hex, had reached out and is doing a grand opening. And they said that it would be helpful for me to like be the event organizer. And I was more than happy to step up. I feel very honored to be included in this. And so it's going to be, this is a animal rescue, a cat rescue that has been named after Art's cat, who is named after Hex. So that's a cool backstory. The facility is named Hexes, and Art donated $2 million to this facility. And how amazing is that? That people in Hex and this was like, probably months ago. So it's not related to the $2 million USDC that just sold from Whale 13. I can tell you that. But this is somebody in Northern Illinois, but it's about an hour and a half south of Chicago. It's in Kankakee, Illinois. And so they're going to have their grand opening on Sunday. So I have thrown together this amazing kind of like, meetup detail thing. We're going to have the Hex DeLorean there. I'm going to drive it there for the grand opening. We got the address here, and the time is Sunday, May 29th from 2 to 4 p.m. Johnny Chaos will be there. I will be there. Other Hexicans are welcome. It's going to be an open house. There's going to be more details to come. And I know it's kind of last minute, but what are some teasers? Definitely the Hex photographer. I'm paying to have Pascal and Katie come out for the event. So they will fly in. Okay. And I think that there will be a celebrity there. Okay. I can't give any more details. We'll probably have more information like tomorrow on this. So, stay tuned for that. We're going to do some live streaming there. So if you can't be there in person, then that's fine. You'll still be included. You'll get to see the best of it. Okay. But I think this could be epic, really, like, because the celebrity that could be coming is like in my top 3 of who Richard should stream with to have a perfect match between their audiences. So that's all I can say for now. I'm so sorry. But anyway, we're going to be there from, at least 2 to 4. And then we'll probably like go out to dinner, have some sort of like, drink after party, something or another. Yeah, so that's what's planned. Oh yeah. I'm going to have I'm bringing a giant check and the materials to do like a ribbon cutting. So it's going to be amazing. Like, we're going to get awesome footage with Hex photographer. We're going to do a live stream with Johnny Chaos and myself. And it's not going to be a simultaneous event. So like, we're not going to live stream the entire thing, but the live streaming that we do will be high production quality. And then the event will be kind of separate from that. And so the details are still coming together. But what I can tell you is this is going to be another example of where somebody is doing good in the world, and that Hex, it can be cross-marketed with people who love animals, animal rescues. This facility will exist for many years to come, advertising Hex. And I'm so excited.
That's awesome.
Bifiness has partied in Kankakee. That's incredible. You should come through, man. Yeah, you can we can make space for your truck, Bitfinesse, 100%. We're going to have a car show in the parking lot. There's a giant park next to this place. And I mean, it's like tons of land, tons of space. We could, Bitfinesse's truck could definitely be part of the car show, unless you need anonymity, and then we can find parking for you. I would love to meet Bitfinesse in person. That would totally make my, it'd make my year. So, definitely let me know, man. And you know, anybody else, I'll be adding to this blog post and also posting on Twitter and going live on YouTube to give people more details. We'll probably do a short video to update you once we know the celebrity. And yeah, I'm so excited. Whether the celebrity comes or not, I know just having the Hexicans there, whether it's a small group or a big group, will be amazing.
Very cool. Nice.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So anybody who's around is invited, and yeah, we're gonna have a car show. Art has like a couple Corvettes and like a Tesla. I'm gonna have the DeLorean there. People can take pictures with the hoverboard and the time circuit and the flux capacitor that has hexagons on it. You know, so definitely a cool time. Very cool. David's on the East Coast there, so he probably won't be able to make it, but all of my Midwest Hexicans, you know, can come through. I think I've got a couple of onboards that I'm gonna get out there to the event, and you know, we don't know if it's just gonna be like 50 locals who are supporting the grand opening of Hexy's animal shelter that will be there, and then maybe, you know, 5 or 10 Hexicans on top of that, or who knows, maybe 200 people will show up like the Hex meetup in Austin. So it's open invitation for sure.
Yeah, I wish I could make it. Yeah, sadly cannot.
But yeah, you'll be able to check out the live stream for sure. And yeah, I think it'll be highly anticipated once people know more, for sure.
It's very exciting.
So with that being said, have we covered everything, or is there anything else to cover on this momentous week?
It's been a hell of a week, but I think we've covered almost everything. So looking good here for now. No news is good news, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks to David and Jory and everybody out there. Hit the like and subscribe button. Please, right now, go to the description below and subscribe to David Feeder on all of his different platforms. I guarantee it's going to be great. You know, you won't be sorry that you subscribe to us.
If you want all the latest news on validators and PulseChain nerd stuff, I'll be there.
That's right. Awesome. So for now, we'll be signing off. Catch us next week at the normal time. And until then, stake wisely, my friends, and peace out.
Bye, Hexicans.